Welcome to the Rockabye Revenue Podcast with me, Abby Watson. I'm a mum of 4 and a business strategist, and I train people to become hypnobirthing teachers. In the last decade, I've built a thriving baby business that grew beyond my wildest dreams. This podcast is for you if you run a business or dream of running a business in the birth and baby industry. You want to change lives whilst making more money. I'm talking about creating sustainable income whilst being present for the people that matter most. I believe for our baby businesses to have the impact we desire, we must be rewarded. On this podcast, expect me to share actionable strategies without the jargon. I've been where you are. I've built a business while raising 4 little ones, and now I'm here to help you turn your passion into profit while creating the life you've always dreamed of. So let's get started. Hello, lovely. I am so glad you are listening to this today. I know that at whatever stage of your journey, whether you are an aspiring hypnobirthing teacher, an aspiring baby business owner, or if you're a seasoned pro, confidence and us talking about how to feel more confident when doing new things is always going to be relevant. I have been in this game for over a decade, and I still have wobbles. I absolutely get huge nerves when meeting a new group or doing a new thing, you know? And please hear me when I say that's really common, and maybe we could even say completely normal. So whether you are listening to this because you are an absolute beginner, or whether you are a seasoned pro and you're like, oh, every time I want to do new things, like I just feel like I'm not going to be confident enough. I'm here to talk about that today and here to share some things that always help me when I feel that way too. Now, the reason that I'm talking about this today is because actually tomorrow, and when you listen to this, I'll have done this meeting, but actually at the time of recording this, tomorrow I have got a really big, important meeting. Now, it's not business related. It's to do with my eldest son. It's a really important meeting with lots of professionals. We've been waiting for this meeting for a very long time, and it's to start the ball rolling to get him into a school or somewhere where he can get some form of education that he is going to be able to access. Now, I am very nervous about it. I feel like it is really out of my comfort zone. I am someone that does struggle in meetings with lots of other people that I don't know. You know, it will be in those times, well, certainly in the past, where I felt like the words that I want to say don't come out as well, where I feel like afterwards I'm thinking, why didn't I say that? Why was I quiet about this? Why was I quiet about that? So I definitely have lots of nerves about tomorrow, and I really intend to go in confident because I know that my son cannot speak for himself. He cannot communicate these things for himself, so I have to. And this is so important because, in my opinion, he has been a boy that has absolutely been failed by the education system, and he's such, and I know everyone says this about their children, but he's such a lovely, amazing boy, like the heart of gold, the kindest, most wonderful boy you'll ever meet. And he deserves something great. And I know that the way I show up in this meeting tomorrow will be so important in getting that. Okay. So the reason that I wanted to talk about confidence with you all today is because it's something that's been very much on my mind this week, because I want to go into that meeting tomorrow feeling and being confident. Okay. Now, I have been here many times before, and you will have been, when you are doing something that feels new, that feels important, and you are feeling super nervous, and you know it's important that you show up with an air of confidence, with an air of certainty. Okay. I can think back to the first time I ever taught hypnobirthing to a client. And oh my gosh, the days before, I was absolutely dreading it. Yes, it was the thing that I had trained to do and was so passionate about it. But the thought of sitting in a couple's living room and talking to them about it all was absolutely nerve-wracking. And of course, I did it and it was great. And the next time I did it, I was a little less nervous, And even now, there are new things in my business that I absolutely get super nervous about and want to portray an air of confidence. So the first time I ever recorded a podcast episode, was I feeling confident? No. And let me just say that every single time I have a new cohort of student hypnobirthing teachers and I'm about to meet them the next day, oh my goodness, I am nervous. Absolutely. And I have to call upon my strategies to help me feel more confident. Okay. So if you do ever feel like, oh, if only I was more confident, I'd be able to do this, I'd be able to do that, this episode is for you, because I am going to share some of my own confidence hacks with you to help you do those things. Okay. But firstly, I really need you to hear that having wobbles, feeling nervous, not feeling like the most confident person in the world is not a reason not to do something. Imagine if I'd have let my lack of confidence, or what I saw myself as lacking confidence, stop me from becoming a hypnobirthing teacher, a decade ago. What would my life have been like now? The incredible success, the incredible joy, the incredible impact that I've had through taking this route has been absolutely life-changing. And imagine if I'd have been like, oh, I'm not sure I'm confident enough. And I know you might be listening thinking, yeah, but it's all right for you, Abby. You are a really confident person. Well, to be honest, I really laugh when people think that of me, because that is not me. It's not. I was the child at school that every single report from a teacher said, Abigail needs to increase her confidence. Abigail needs to be more confident. Abigail needs to stop being so quiet. I was constantly told I needed to be more confident, more assertive, talk more, all these things. Now, that had been who I was for all those years. And when I decided I wanted to be a school teacher, which I decided after I'd finished university, everybody was like, really? You? And I wanted to be a secondary school teacher? What, in front of teenagers? Like, people couldn't believe that I wanted to be a person that was going to be stood at the front in front of 30 teenagers, And I knew that although I was really nervous about it, I was going to have ways of developing that confidence, okay? So please, before you think it's okay for you, Abby, you are such a confident person, remember that we develop confidence from doing, and we are able to expand our comfort zones. You listening to me on this podcast today, it's easy to forget that actually these things in the past were never in my comfort zones. You know, it's easy to assume that when you're listening to me and I sound very confident and very chatty, it's easy to assume that I'm like that in every walk of my life. And, you know, I'm absolutely not. But I definitely have strategies that help me. Okay. So, in terms of building that confidence when we are feeling like we are lacking it, when we are nervous about something, just like I am the meeting tomorrow, okay, what am I going to be doing? What do I recommend you do when you are also feeling like you need that boost of confidence? Okay. Well, firstly, the thing that always helps me is this. I think about all the other people there and I acknowledge to myself that they are likely to be feeling nervous too. Because I think it's so easy to think, oh, it's just us. So when I think about the meeting tomorrow and I know that the school Senko is going to be there, someone from the local authority, speech and language therapist, all these people, I acknowledge that this is their work and they don't do these meetings perhaps all the time. They are likely to be nervous too. Okay. And actually, some of the things that they may feel nervous about might be me. And they might feel like, oh, what if mum, because everyone calls you mum, don't they? What if mum asks this? Or what if mum challenges that? So acknowledging that they are also nervous. Well, how does this translate when you are teaching classes? So what does this mean for me when I run courses? Well, when I'm feeling nervous the night before, I remember that my students, those people attending, will also be nervous. You know, they don't know what to expect. They're worried about, you know, what they might have to do. I acknowledge that. And I remember that actually my confidence or my confidence that it might appear will help them feel at ease. So if you are feeling nervous, if you are feeling like you are lacking confidence, ready for a new event you're going to be hosting, remember that those people coming to the event will also be nervous. And it's you showing up, you know, with that certainty that's going to help them feel more at ease. So you're doing it for them, you know? You are helping your clients or the people that are attending or watching, if this is a video we're talking about, feel at ease. Think about them, okay? Guess what? My popular free training is back. Could you become a hypnobirthing teacher? This is for you if you've ever thought about taking the plunge and training as a hypnobirthing teacher. Over 3 days, I will teach you everything you need to know about starting in this wonderful world. Leave feeling clear, inspired and motivated to support other people to have incredible births. All you need to do is come over to Instagram at loveyourbirth_training, DM me free training, and you will be pinged all the information right back. I hope to see you there. My second strategy that I always use and have used, oh my goodness, for all my adult life is this. I fake it until I feel it. I fake it until I feel it. So going back to when I first trained as a secondary school teacher, and like I said, people who knew me thought, oh my gosh, why would you want to do that? How are you going to stand up in front of all those children and have to be, quite assertive? How are you going to do that? Well, I tell you what I did. I pretended to be that teacher. I thought about the teachers that had inspired me in the past. I knew what a teacher acts like, and I did that. I felt like I was a bit of an actor, I pretended to be that confident teacher until eventually I no longer needed to pretend anymore because I was that person. I did the same when I became a hypnobirthing teacher a decade ago. Yeah, I felt nervous going to those clients' houses. Yes, I absolutely felt so nervous the first time I did a group course. And my goodness, the first time I did a taster session, totally nervous. Okay. But again, I pretended to be that hypnobirthing teacher that I wanted to be. I felt like I was putting on a persona, I was acting, I was being that person. I was thinking about what that person would say and do, how that person would welcome those people, and do it like I was playing a role until eventually I no longer needed to do it. Okay. What other things do I do? What strategies do I use? Secondly, we're not on secondly. Thirdly, I visualize. I play out in my mind how it's going to go in a good way, So going back to the first ever hypnobirthing course I ever taught, I planned it out in my mind. I imagined myself, introducing myself. I actually rehearsed that bit. I talked to myself in my car, pretending I was introducing myself to my clients. I planned it out in my mind. I visualized it just like a sports person would when they are going into a big match or a big physical pursuit. Mentally rehearsing it, because then our mind feels so much more at ease with it because they are familiar with it. Our mind is familiar with it, therefore it does not need to release as much cortisol. So for this important meeting that I've got tomorrow, well, I've already been in the building before. I've already been in the room before. Okay, so I already have that element of familiarity, but there's lots of unfamiliar things. I don't know some of the people that are going to be turning up, okay, but what I do know is that there's a fairly large table that's like oblong, rectangle in the room, and I'm imagining myself sitting there. I'm imagining myself smiling across to the people in the room, introducing myself, I'm visualizing it. I'm playing it out in my mind so that I feel more familiar with this brand new situation. Okay. And fourthly, is that a term? Who knows? Fourth, I am thinking about the things that I can do for myself that always give me a boost. So what things in life make me feel good? So I know I feel better on days that I've washed my hair. I know that always gives me a little spring in my step, a little boost. I know I always feel better in an outfit that I love. So I'm going to be thinking about what outfit I can wear, I know that my mornings are better when I've been on my my walking pad for 10 minutes brisk walking. I know I am pumping with energy when I have done that. I know that when I get in my car and I listen to my favourite songs, I feel good. So of course I am going to be doing and prioritizing those simple things that make me feel better. Okay. And my final tip is I really think about my posture, my body language. Okay. There's an incredible TED Talk by a lady called Amy Cuddy where she talks about confidence, and she talks about something called power posing, which ultimately means, and it sounds bonkers, standing like you are Wonder Woman, you know, hands on hips, standing tall, chest out, really thinking about that power pose. And she talks on this TED Talk about the research that proves this increases our confidence when we do it for a few minutes. Okay, that's all we need. So tomorrow, before I set off to my meeting, I will absolutely be standing in my power pose. Hands on hips, standing tall, chest out. If I need a little boost whilst I'm there, perhaps waiting, I'll take myself to the toilet and I'll do a bit of power posing. And of course, I'll call upon all my hypnobirthing techniques to bring down any feelings of fight or flight, put me back in my parasympathetic nervous system, my nervous system of calm. So I will be taking those deep, slow, full breaths in and those even slower breaths out to bring down my cortisol levels, to put me in that calm response where I will feel more rational and more at ease. Okay. So I really hope that has been useful for you today. Ultimately, what I want you to remember is that confidence is a bit like a skill. You know, it's something that we can develop. It's not something that we're either born with or born without. It's something that we can develop, and actually we gain confidence by doing. Okay, I often use the analogy of like the first time you ever change a baby's nappy, you know? The first time you ever change your baby's nappy, you are literally all fingers and thumbs, aren't you? You are like embarrassed if anybody should see you do it. You are not a confident nappy changer. A month down the line, you are changing nappies in the dark. You are a very confident nappy changer because you have done it more, you know? You have developed confidence from the action, from doing it. And that is absolutely the same as a business owner too, okay? We don't wait until we're feeling confident. We actually gain the confidence on the journey. And that's what I really want you to take away from today's episode, that actually it's from the doing that you will gain that confidence. And what might feel like really scary one year, the next year will feel like nothing, you know? You'll show up without needing any of those tools, you know, without needing any of those strategies, okay? But mark my words, there'll be something else that needs that little boost of motivation, okay? That needs those strategies. And again, one day, that will be nothing to you too, okay? So, I really hope this was useful. As always, do come over to my Instagram at loveyourbirth_training and let me know what your biggest takeaway has been, and importantly, what you are going to use these tools for. What thing that you are feeling like, I'm not sure I'm confident enough, are you going to be taking a leaf out of my book and showing up confidently even though internally you might not be thinking it and feeling it. Take care, lovely one, and I shall see you next time. Bye! Thank you for listening to Rockabye Revenue. I hope this episode has left you with some fresh ideas and bundles of motivation. If you enjoyed this episode, do make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an installment. And if you found this episode useful, I'd love you forever if you leave a 5-star review, helping this podcast reach the ears of more of the helpers in this world. And remember, keep changing lives. See you next time.